Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm David Wallbridge, Associate Director at Harris & Clarke. On this channel we talk about all things property surveying and building know-how, whether you're a homeowner, buyer or just someone who's a bit of a construction nerd like me. Today we're diving into a topic that's close to my heart, timber frame buildings. They've been used for centuries and they're still going strong today. But whether it's a Tudor cottage with an oak frame and various infill panels, or a modern new build home, they do come with some of their own quirks. In this video, I'll be taking you through the unique features of timber frame buildings, some of the common defects and risks, and touch on what we as surveyors check for. Finally, some handy maintenance tips, and the all-important special repair considerations if something does go wrong. If you live in, or think about buying, a timber frame property, or you're just curious about what makes them tick, stick around and let's get into it. First off, what exactly makes a timber frame building different? Well, as the name suggests, it's all about the structure. Instead of using bricks or blocks to support the load of the building, timber frame construction relies on, timber. A skeleton of wood forms a structural support, and then that's usually covered up in a skin of material like plasterboard on the inside and protected by a skin of brick, render or cladding on the outside. One of the great things about timber frames is that they're fast to build. Frames are often prefabricated off-site and then assembled like giant puzzles, which makes for quick and efficient construction. They're also more sustainable than many other methods because timber is a renewable resource, provided it's sourced responsibly. And let's not forget, they're incredibly versatile. You can get some really beautiful designs with open plan layouts, vaulted ceilings, and loads of natural light. But of course, with all that charm comes a few potential headaches. The main risk with timber frame buildings are all to do with moisture. Timber and water are not the best of friends. If water gets into the structure, it isn't able to dry out and you could be looking at decay, rot or even insect infestation. And believe me, once rot sets in to a hidden part of the frame, it can become very costly and tricky to put it right. Another thing to be aware of is the thermal performance. Whilst timber frames can be well insulated, poor detailing around junctions and windows can lead to cold bridging. That's where heat escapes through the gaps in the insulation, and that can lead to condensation and mould. Soundproofing is another thing people don't always think about. Timber frame buildings can sometimes transmit sound more readily than masonry ones, especially between floors. That's not always a deal breaker, but it's something to be aware of if you're after peace and quiet. So you're having a survey done on a timber frame property. What are you actually looking for? Well, quite a lot. First, we want to understand the age of the building and how it was constructed. Timber frame techniques have changed a lot over the decades, from historic oak framed cottages right through to modern engineered panels. We'll look for signs of moisture ingress, for things like staining, warped finishes, soft patches in floors or walls, and musty smells can all point to problems. We'll also be checking ventilation, especially in older properties. A timber frame needs to breathe. If a modern material like a non-breathable plastic membrane or even just common old cement has been added without thinking about ventilation or how the building needs water to escape the property, that can trap moisture and cause problems over time. Where possible, we'll inspect the external cladding, damp proofing and any signs of insect activity like woodworm. If access allows, we'll look at the roof space and the wall cavities to check the insulation quality and the condition of the structure. Now, onto the practical stuff. Maintenance. Like any property, timber frames need a bit of care, but don't worry, it's not a full-time job. First and foremost, just keep it dry. Make sure the gutters and downpipes are clear and in good repair. Checking that the roof isn't leaking and the water isn't pooling anywhere near the base of the walls. Regularly inspecting the cladding or render. If you've got timber cladding, it might need treating or repainting every few years to keep it weatherproof. If it's render or brick, look out for cracks that can let water in. Ventilation is key. If you've got extractor fans in bathrooms and kitchens, use them. Keep trickle vents open. And if you're doing any refurbishments, make sure breathable materials are used where appropriate, especially in older properties. Breathable products and materials allow moisture to pass through it, whereas many modern materials are designed to be a barrier to moisture. In the correct position, this is great, but a lack of care and understanding can result in moisture becoming trapped in the fabric of the building and with potentially serious consequences. Also, keep an eye on trees and vegetation. Roots can affect foundations, and that's a whole other topic that can affect all buildings. And overhanging branches can dump water and debris where you don't want it. What happens if something does go wrong? Well, repairs to timber frames need a bit of specialist knowledge. Unlike masonry, you can't just patch over a problem and hope for the best. As with all repairs, the first step is ensuring the cause is correctly identified, which may be simple and obvious, but often getting a surveyor in like me to inspect is required. We can ensure all of the relevant issues and defects have been identified and a suitable repair is arranged. Misdiagnosis can risk having expensive works done that don't actually solve the underlying problem. This will put all the nice new fresh repair at risk. Rotten timber usually needs to be cut out and replaced, ideally with a like-for-like material. That might sound simple, but matching the exact type of timber, ensuring it's properly treated and installed is critical. Otherwise, you're just kicking the problem down the road or setting yourself up for another issue in the future. If the damage is structural, you may need to bring in a structural engineer to assess the extent of the design. If the damage is structural, you may need to bring in a structural engineer to assess the extent and design a repair that won't compromise the frame's integrity. For older properties, using modern materials like cement and foam insulation can sometimes do more harm than good. As I touched on before, these materials can trap moisture, which leads to, you guessed it, rot. So, a sympathetic approach using breathable and compatible materials that work alongside those used in the original building is really important. And one last thing, if you're buying or living in a listed timber frame building, any repairs might need listed building consent. Always check before you carry out work. There you have it. Timber frame buildings are full of character and can perform beautifully with the right care, but they do need to be respected. Keep them dry, ventilated and well maintained, and they will serve you for decades. Thanks for watching, and I hope this has given you a good overview of what makes timber frame buildings unique, what to watch out for and how to look after them. As always, if you need any help and advice on this or other topics, please contact us through our website at harrisonclarke.co.uk, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.